Hello, Reject Nation. I'm Greg Alba.
And I'm John Humphrey.
We watched Hobbs and Shaw. If you don't know the plot, it's like Mission Impossible 2, but a better version.
Yeah.
For years we've been asking for, oh man, that movie had so much potential, but we deserved a better execution. This is the one. I don't remember Fate of the Furious that well. I thought they ended up getting along in the movie. I thought they ended up like working together pretty well by the end of it. So in this movie, when Hobbs and Shaw team up, I don't want to hate you. I'm like, what? I thought you guys like pulled off a cool mission together last time.
Don't they clink some Coronas on the rooftop? That was what sparked the whole Justice for Han controversy.
Yeah.
Jason Statham shows up and everyone's like chumming with him.
Maybe it's explained in the movie. If you saw any of our trailer reactions, you know that I especially have been greatly looking forward to this movie. It delivers exactly what I wanted it to be. I had a really, really great time.
This is the least falsely advertised movie.
Oh yeah, it is just as crazy as you want it to be. The banter buddy cop dynamic between Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham is like some of the funniest moments are just them insulting each other, and the way David Leitch chose to capture a lot of the taunting moments where it's just this like perfectly like their head is centered frame, just close up, talking to the camera. Yeah, it's so well done.
Yeah,
so freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
I think Dwayne Johnson is actually hilarious in this movie.
Yeah,
I think they're both pretty funny. I think Jason Statham is only funny when he's with Dwayne Johnson, but I think Dwayne Johnson overall is pretty funny in this movie. Yeah, I really like their performances a lot in this film, and I think their chemistry is really great. And if they made out their own franchise out of this, which I'm sure they will be, of just Hobbs and Shaw, I think they could be up there as like a great action duo.
Yeah, because they just have such chemistry together, and also the situation comedy plays into it, and they can both fight, so you get pretty good, realistic looking stunts and stuff. Like, they are a pretty great action duo, and that's good, because as a film, this is just like a generic villain plot with, Mission Impossible 2 thrown on it, but it's there.
Oh, yeah. Well, this movie is so sci-fi now. That thing that was kind of annoying about the Charlize Theron plotline and Fate of the Furious, this is so much more ridiculous with Idris Elba villain. I think the tone established really does a great job on making this all really work.
Oh yeah.
Like, my only real complaint about the movie would have to be when we would check in with Idris Elba's character, because this movie has a pretty simple beat sheet of how it all goes. For most of the film, it's Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham
have to protect Vanessa.
Well, they bicker, then there's a fight scene. And then they bicker, and then we check in with Idris Elba. And then we bicker. Then there's a fight scene, they bicker, and then we check in with Idris Elba. And that's like most of the movie. And the thing is with Idris Elba, while he does a really good job, the character in and of itself is just not altogether that interesting, and that's when the movie tries to get more serious with what it's doing. And similar to Fate of the Furious, where it kind of got bogged down. Like, I think Fate of the Furious did it so much that it really like hampered down a lot of the energy. This movie doesn't really do it that much. So this is like it's more of a nitpick, because I don't walk away thinking about any of this.
I think this movie did better by its villain only in the sense that it made it so that his purpose made him kind of a character, and it didn't make it seem like a big thing the movie was trying to push. It's like he has this whole thing about the future and the evolution of man, and we're doing this for a righteous cause. They don't like lean too heavily into that as to be like serious film about it, So,
well, his scenes are great when he's interacting with either both or either one of Jason Statham or Dwayne Johnson.
Everything
like, those
is better
scenes are great
in the movie when it's with Jason Statham and Dwayne Johnson.
One of the major highlights for me, someone who I honestly thought might have been wasted talent. She is incredible in this film. Like, she's up there with Dwayne Johnson.
She fit right in really well.
Vanessa Kirby. Vanessa Kirby has wonderful chemistry with both of the like different types of dynamics, because she plays the sister Shaw. But the chemistry and relationship that she has with both of these characters is really well done. I think her action scenes are great. Whenever she was on screen, I was really delightfully entertained. I thought she was wonderful in this film. Isa Gonzalez, as you saw in the trailer, shows up to be hot.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what she does now. No one saw her working from dusk till dawn. They said, well, she can't act, right? She's just hot. let's
give her like a cool outfit and some guns, but let's not actually show her kicking ass or be that authoritative.
Baby Driver, she's hot. Alita Battle Angel, she's hot robot chick. Here, she's hot.
She's hot. She's got guns.
Got nothing to do. Michelle Rodriguez was outspoken about the way the female characters are treated in the Fast and Furious franchise, and I think Vanessa Kirby is better than all of them.
Yes.
Like the treatment of her character. I don't think she is as naturally tough as someone like Michelle Rodriguez, who just looks like she can stare at me and like kick my ass. But Vanessa Kirby, her character is just so much more rich and entertaining to watch than any other female character in this entire 9-movie franchise so far. Yeah,
and I mean, it is, I think, the same people who've been writing these for a while, so I hope they take some of these.
Chris Morgan,
Piers Morgan, man, he's really slumming it these days. I feel like they could maybe take some of what they've done. It's like they're clearly capable of doing it, so maybe they can inject some of that into the future Fast movies.
One letdown factor to me is the action is exactly how it's pitched in the trailer, and there's a lot more of it. This movie's like 2.5 hours long.
It can get a little mind-numbing some of the time with just how much.
There's a halfway point in the film. I've heard enough people tell me before watching this, like tell me personally and hearing it in reviews. Normally for movies, I don't watch the reviews before I watch the film, but I'm like, it's just Hobbs and Shaw, whatever. So, like, I heard people like Chris Stuckman say this.
Get Stuckmanized.
And it's true. There's a point in the movie where it really looks like it's going to end, and then you get like another 30 more minutes of the movie.
Remember something about the trailer.
You remember the trailer and like, oh yeah, wait a minute. Before we even entered any of that sequence, before we ever entered the moment where I'm sure most people thought it was going to end, I looked at John, I'm like, this must be the scene coming up where we think it's going to end. Like, I just knew it was going to be like this scene. And I think you'll know that too. And I think it's important to actually factor that in when you're watching this, because it'll make it easier to sit through the rest of the movie.
It's like a 4-act movie.
Yeah, well, like, because of that, if I didn't know that, I probably would have been a lot more impatient during the last half hour of this film. But because I was prepped for that and I saw it coming, I was like, okay, this is much easier to watch. Because the last half hour, it kind of feels
I didn't have that.
Oh, you didn't?
I was not prepped for that.
Oh, I felt like I was so prepped for it that like the last half hour feels a little tacked on. I mean, you probably already know what the hell we're talking about, honestly, if you've seen the trailer. Yeah. It really feels like Dwayne Johnson stepped in and was like, yeah, we're putting this in the movie, okay?
It's time for my family.
It really felt that way. Yeah. It suddenly shot like a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah. Well, and it does this dive into his character that's like, whoa. Like, this would have been nice to start with, maybe.
It's not structured well into it. It's not.
An odd addition.
But it's still super entertaining.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's still awesome. One of the disappointing elements too, the way this is captured, and I kind of get this way with when James Wan was brought on board, when F. Gary Gray. Yeah, when F. Gary Gray was brought on board. You only see little moments that feel like that director's signature touch. It's sparse. It's kind of like some of the MCU movies where you're like, did this guy actually direct this? You know?
Yeah. You can see like his veneer has been added to it, and I thought David Leitch's presence I felt the most in the humorous scenes.
Yeah, it's like the John Wickisms that you'd want are not here, except for like a couple of lighting moments. The fight scenes in themselves, I was kind of let down by, especially the hand-to-hand ones.
Yeah.
Because of the fact of, you know, like this guy's done Atomic Blonde, he's done John Wick, and then I watch these hand-to-hand fights, and I'm like, oh man, they're shot exactly like every other Fast and Furious movie. They're so hyper-edited, they're so fast. The fun action moments for me here were the crazy big shit, like that, and that's most of the fight scenes, okay?
Most things are big in this movie.
There was some cool hand-to-hand stuff, sure, absolutely, but for the most part, they were just captured like any other Fast and Furious flick, and that was kind of the letdown factor to me of knowing who's directing this. But that being said, even though the hand-to-hand stuff is very much similar to the other ones, I still think the overall tone of this, just the vibe that this one gives off, I'd actually be more excited to see a sequel to this than I would be to see Fast 9. Honestly, I would be.
Yeah, it's just more outwardly fun. I don't know. There's something about the Fast and the Furious movies that even when they get super fun, there's always kind of they're trying to be a little more serious about it with the family.
Exactly, because those like first four kind of were so self-serious. They still have these scenes that they weave in through 5 through 8 that are just like, why are... I don't need any of that.
I mean, and they still do that in this movie. There's still like family stuff and dramatic moments, but I didn't feel like they were trying to be like, no, but this is important. You know?
Yeah, there's a couple of moments.
But they mostly felt like, we got to tie the characters together somehow.
This is more like Deadpool 2 David Leitch than it is John Wick David Leitch.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And if you were excited by David Leitch coming in to bring his sensibility, that would be a letdown. If you love Fast and the Furious action, then you'll psyched.
Yeah, I'd be pretty surprised if you don't enjoy this movie if you like the other Fast and Furious films, because it's enough to make it different than the original franchise that it's stems from, but it's totally similar in vein to make it a Fast and Furious Presents film.
Yeah, totally. And this is, hey, if they're gonna do a universe expansion, this is a pretty decent way to start. It seems like
it's the most self-aware one of them all too. Like it's the most self-aware.
This movie is feeling itself at times, maybe a little too much.
Oh yeah, there are references to Jason Statham and The Rock's other movies.
There are references to just pop culture. It really breaks the fourth wall a bit. Like, it is like an all over the place movie in terms of how fast and loose it's being. It is a double-edged sword because sometimes the movie does either get kind of mind-numbing in the sense that like action can stretch out kind of wide, or it can just be like, cut this down, with the banter or some of the dragging dramatic moments or something. Overall, like, if there's one moment that's dragging, pretty soon it'll be having a blast again. Like, it is so fun.
It is a super entertaining film. If you saw the trailers and you wanted to see it, go watch it.
Oh yeah.
Go watch
if you saw that trailer and said that movie's for me, you're gonna have at least an 80% good time.
That's the other thing. It's not like The Lion King where you're like, oh, that's exactly what I expected and nothing more. There's some fun surprises. There's surprises in here. I think you'll get a big kick.
It's
Well, did you see Hobbs and Shaw? Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you thought. Where would you rank it amongst the Fast and Furious franchise?
Is this the Paranormal Activity, the marked ones of the Fast and Furious franchise?
I don't think people will say yes.
That's a good metaphor because that's a good sequel. Keeping the vibe.
So you can subscribe to The Real Rejects. Click that notification bell. I wanted to give a Patron of the Day shout out to a man named Gregory Bullock. You see, here's how life works. We have top reward tiers where you get a video request of the month to go up on YouTube. Gregory is pledged for that. Gregory is great. We are Gregory.
We are Groot.
He never got back to me about what he wanted his video to be. We know you. We know your personality. You would be perfect to be part of the Hobbs and Shaw franchise. Hobbs, Shaw, and Bullock. How cool would that be? You could either be like the combination of like Sandra Bullock's personality meets Bullock's personality from American Dad, and then Gregory Bullock's personality. You would get a female, black, empowered Republican character if you combine all of those personalities. That's you, Gregory Bullock.
Person right there. Oh.
It's called improv, baby. That's how you do it.
Yeah, I want to see this character come to life now, and you got to add a singing element in there too, And that's like one thing.
He'll do the one of those tracks that plays on the credits.
Yeah. He can collab with Idris Elba. It'd be perfect.
No one has filmed the Hobbs and Shaw video this long.
There's a lot to say.